From the country that brought you black metal and the Viking invasions, the rebel collective representing the original Outstriders of Norwegian hip-hop are Gatas Parlament, Parliament of the Streets. Politically astute, provocative poets of the proletariat, class-conscious iconoclasts of consumer shibboleths who defined Norse tongue-wrapping rapport along these rugged shores. They were there at the very inception. The lineup has altered over the years, but one man, one voice, one counterculture warrior is still going strong. Outstriders Podcast is proud to present our guest for episode 5, Elling Borgersrud.
2021 och protest mot krigene och vilket annat år som helst, bara drit i det. Album är proppa fullt av gäster, trivlig det. Och det är revolution mens vi skriver det. Gäster, disse tre, lar jeg nesten ikke fred. Forresten Aslak har blitt frelst og er ikke med. Så vi har byttet han ut med gester. Blir ikke det mest annerledes du har sett, men likevel. Og hvis du planlegger fest et lite sted, så bør du ha noen bits av gester og vrikke til. Og ikke tenk engang på neste drikkested, for Gatas Parlament er best. Jeg sier ikke mer.
There are no borders between us, only frontiers to explore. No hinterlands to conquer, oceans are but a distant shore. Outstriders leap from frame, gutting pain from every loss. No trenches dug divide us, only thresholds yet to cross. Welcome one and all to Outstriders Podcast, autodidact university, where we who know nothing try to know more. And today, Sebastian, okay mate?
Yeah.
You're ready? Fired up? That's good to hear. Today we have a very special guest, Elling Borgersrud.
Close enough.
Close enough? Is it Borgersrud?
Borgersrud.
Borgersrud.
I usually go by the name Gatas.
Gatas.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Yeah.
And I also gotta say, no, you're special.
We're all special.
It's a compliment in English. I always found that weird.
We're all special needs here.
Yeah, that's not a compliment in Norwegian.
Definitely not. I normally call you, Gatas Parlament.
Yes, sir.
That's the name of your band.
Yep.
And I normally call it, Gatas Fundament. Because you're like the foundation of street level hip hop in Norway.
Okay.
And not just Norway either. And you were, is it true you were like the first rap band to sing Norwegian lyrics solely?
Yeah. Yeah. So the first hip-hop group to use Norwegian lyrics.
Yeah.
So there were, thing is about Norwegian hip-hop back in the days, you go to the 80s and early 90s, it was viewed as a sort of a joke thingy. So it was a lot of parodies. It started, the whole thing in Norwegian public started as jokey.
Right.
So there were parodies.
Yeah.
But as a serious hip hop group, So that was a lot of what we struggled with in the beginning, because we were this small extremist group that took it serious, and we had to exclude all the jokes, all the funny stuff,
So you would be taken seriously.
Or at least we took ourselves seriously, Eventually we were taken seriously.
Yeah. And funnily enough, I believe the name Parliament of the Streets was coined by a right-wing politician or some derivative of it.
Yeah.
And you went throwing eggs in his general direction.
Yes, directly at him, I would say.
I hope they were free range.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Never mind. Rotten is...
that's the best, but I don't think they were either.
Yeah. And so... we're here to talk about many things, and but really, we have a little checklist here that health and safety have advised us to implement. And so out of respect for, due to our sensitive souls, and our souls are very sensitive, especially Sebastian's,
Sure.
we'd very much like to avoid any issues or trigger any wartime flashbacks and childhood traumas.
Yes.
So if you don't mind, I'll just go through a few possible diagnoses.
Right.
Just to check so we can avoid those touchy subjects. Bipolar.
But I'm not bipolar, no.
ADHD.
Yes, positive.
Yeah. PTSD.
No.
OCD.
No.
Obsessive compulsive.
No.
Schizophrenia.
No.
Schizophrenia.
Yes.
Schizophrenia.
Well.
Just making sure.
Yeah. All there, yeah.
Okay. A common misconception, I know. And for artists, rock stars and all that, there's the one that we have to ask about, the dreaded N-word within fame and all that kind of thing. Necrophilia.
Oh, that one. Well, no.
Oh, wait a minute. It might have been nymphomania.
Right, yeah, well, I thought you were going to say alcoholism.
Oh, right. That doesn't begin with an N, though.
Oh,
Unless it's a silent one.
narco.
Oh, right.
How do you say?
Yeah.
Well,
You're not a junkie and never have been, and
well, no.
Okay,
Not.
yeah. And of course, oh wait a minute, paging Dr. Phil, narcissism.
Oh yes.
Any
of course.
reflections?
Well, I'm not diagnosed, but I read it and I quickly skip by it because it.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
Because or else we know what's going to happen. The price of fame, catcher in the rye. And I think that's. Is there any that I haven't mentioned that you could admit or share with us here today?
Probably,
yeah. But
but
undiagnosed.
Well, the only diagnosed thing I got is the ADHD, and that's pretty recent.
Right.
So it's just 2 years ago that I got the diagnosis, and it's pretty interesting because it explains for me a lot about myself. And so most of my friends are saying, yes, of course, obviously. And I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me? My wife told me.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
It's good to know these things.
A lot of things it's been very clarifying.
Yeah.
For example, I imagined that I was pretty good at handling stress. And the reason for that is I'm pretty good at handling extreme stress.
Yeah.
So when a guy comes in with a gun, I'm like the calmest person in the room. But when I'm being criticized by somebody I don't know, and that's common ordinary situations, I get really frustrated and stressed out.
It's like looking at myself in a mirror with hair and better look.
Yeah, well,
because I got bipolar first,
right,
and I've always been a little bit bipolar curious, but it didn't fit everything. And then I got the ADD.
Right,
that's the grown-up version, isn't it? ADHD. Kind of.
I'm thinking it's the light version.
Really?
I don't know though.
All right. Okay.
I think they cut it out.
Oh, is it called ADHD?
Yeah, I think everything is ADHD.
Right.
Same thing with autism. Yeah. They cut out the.
Yeah. So what are the symptoms, like the main symptoms of ADHD?
Well,
because I have no diagnosis. I just been told I'm the devil and or possessed by the devil. And
that's the moral. That's a moral issue, and that's not entirely the same thing. No, I can tell you about myself. So the one thing is about the stress thing. I'm easily stressed out, and I don't handle it very well, and I become. I notice I become less cognitive present when I'm stressed out. That's not very practical.
No.
And then I forget things.
Okay.
So and I have problems with organizing. And you could say the stress thing is also connected to another sort of problems connected to that. Like I have problems, like all my life. Problems with paying taxes, No, that sounds like a joke. It's not a joke. I have problems with papers, public paperwork. Yeah,
but it is confusing many times.
It is, but
and the communication from the state is not the best all the time.
Yes.
So there are relevant reasons.
Yes.
But
So but the thing is, I'm easily stressed out. So when things like that is difficult, it's very important. It's difficult, and I blank out. It's also a thing with ADHD is that you're not motivated by the consequences.
Okay.
So you're motivated by the dopamine and it's things that are interesting to you.
Okay.
So if somebody says to me, you have to do this or else this horrible consequence, you'll have to pay 200,000 for the next years. Yeah. Doesn't affect me. It won't work. No. I don't work that way.
No. So the more threats you get,
it just stresses me out, and then that's least likely. I'm least likely to do it.
Did you get any, good explanation and advice how to deal with it from professionals?
Well, there was a course that we were sent to. I didn't think the course was very good, but we were 6 or 7 meetings. I guess the themes is not bad, and how to deal with job, how to keep your job, how the ADHD in relationships, stuff like that, which is
practical
necessary.
Stuff.
Yeah, but the course wasn't that good, I think. And I've been trying medicines, and they don't work with me. So
may I say on this topic a little bit?
Yeah.
There is this psychological test, and the main idea is like, we all have different temperament.
Yeah.
And it's like you got 5 ingredients and you put it into shaker and then your parents shake it up and then it's you, right?
Yep.
And these 5 main traits is conscientiousness, agreeableness, neuroticism, extroversion, which is neuroticism is negative emotion and extroversion is positive emotion.
Right.
And then you have openness. And my understanding of this and what you just explained is like you're probably higher on positive emotion, more extroverted than on negative emotion, and that's why you are motivated by the gains, by the positive side of life and not the negative. Because if people are, and I have few friends who are like, we did the tests and I'm like extremely high on positive emotions.
Right.
So I got the same approach. And I always look on the positive, on the gains. And these people are much, much more risk aware and they're more dutiful. So they rather do stuff because, I'm scared that something goes wrong. So, have you ever heard about this?
I played a little bit with it some years ago. Yeah, I think it's very interesting, but I just got to say that one should understand when it comes to neurodiversity is that we're not. So this idea of the personality test tends to sort of hint at the idea that people are more or less the same. We're just a little bit more or a little bit less on this or that level.
On the scale.
But in reality, neurodivergent people might be completely different from you. And it's very hard. I can't understand how your mind works necessarily. And some people, example, an autist is in the classroom. And we're having a good time. Everybody's friends. We're sitting comfortable, reading, writing. But there's a lamp in the hallway that goes like this, clink, 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 clink. The autist can't concentrate on anything else in that lamp. It's his whole consciousness is about that. It's very disturbing. And for the teacher or anybody else sitting in the classroom that don't struggle with the same problem, it's impossible to understand unless somebody explains it. You need to understand that this mind works in a very different way, and it has problems that is not an extreme version of what I have. It's a completely new thing.
So the ADHD is like on the same level as autism, like, because I understand autism is like serious diagnosis, and then
it's an autistic mental disorder.
And then there are these new definitions or new diagnoses, which I'm a little bit skeptic about it, because these things are enhanced by, for example, social media and so on. If I scroll all the day on social media, then I'm very
it's a mark of merit.
But I'm not like disregarding it. I try to understand. That's my intention.
So the thing is, when it comes to autism, it's they call it the specter. It's the autism specter. So it can express itself in very different ways, and people that have people can have a lot of problems which is completely hidden, like the one with the lamp. It makes it impossible for the person to function normally, but you can meet the person. You can meet the person and you can think, oh, but this is a very intelligent person. He can hold my vad heter det, blick?
Gaze.
And can be intelligent, smart, socially, seems, but there are hidden problems, which is very serious. And there are people that can't speak, that are autists. The social problems are on they express themselves very, So with ADHD, it's somewhat of the, people. It expresses itself in different ways, and sometimes they call this different by different words, like they call jente ADHD,
female ADHD.
right, which hasn't got anything to do with the biological, it's a social expression of ADHD. So you, instead of having young boys screaming and running around and dancing on the tables when it's a math class, then you have this girl sitting like this. And she has ADHD as well. It's racing inside her, and she is all over the place. She is, constructing worlds, but she is not present.
No, exactly.
And she can't be. So she has very similar problems, but they express themselves differently. So I have another explanation too than the social media, if you're interested.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go on.
So the thing is, this is sort of the idea with the neurodivergent perspective, you could say, on this, which is that this is normal. This is not normal. This is evolutionary developed traits. We have variance, mental and cognitive variance, in the inside of human nature, which has been beneficial for the individuals and probably for society. But the way society is headed, where you are studying for 21 years and you everything is very organized and there's no free spaces, sort of, makes the living in that world more difficult for neurodivergent people.
So we'd be shamans back in the day. So
or artists, So you could say, we're talking about artists today, but talking about, if you read about artists back in the day, 200 years ago, they were living sort of similar to us, only they were smaller celebrities, I guess. There were less in the papers.
Yeah.
Or we know of Ole Bull.
Yeah.
But
Exactly, yeah.
that guy,
Yeah.
I don't know, but you could imagine that he had a hyper focus on playing his fiddle, which is why he became so good.
Exactly, yeah.
And
First
then,
Norwegian rock star, international.
Yeah, and he didn't need to study math so much at that time. It wasn't that much material you had, and he could, yes. So yeah. And then the more organized society and more capitalist competition, it's difficult for people that...
So more control doesn't necessarily makes good influence on people who are creative, right? That's basically it.
Well, constrictions can impede the creative flow.
Yeah, but if it's like too strict and then you have to go through certain education,
well, then you become a rebel. You rebel against
the
strictures.
I wasn't talking about people that are creative, though.
I understand.
Tusen takk. Du er snill, du.
Welcome.
Oh, cheers, John. Oakley.
Cheers. I know you've been talking about the society structure and how the person who is divergent.
Yep. Neurodivergent, yes.
Can't really follow the person is natural explorer, right?
Or
so
different
in some way.
Yeah.
He's basically
we're pioneers of the mind.
Different, right? So you want to find your own way, and if you are restricted, like you have to do this, you have to do that, and it's expected that you will be good in everything. You will be just average person, good at everything, not excellent at anything, kind of thing.
Well, idiots of
so then you suffer by these expectations, right? And you understand me?
Yeah, and also there are things in society that are very, very, very difficult for you. Might be.
Yeah. So let me go for the hip hop stuff.
Yes.
So, what were the main topics at the beginnings of your career, or what was your motivation, or why did you like hip hop, and what was your motivation to do the hip hop music?
Yeah. So this was the beginning of the 90s, and I was into left-wing politics, and I guess also like cultural happening things. At that time, a lot of punk rock and hardcore and the emerging techno and house scene, and hip hop and house. That was sort of close back then, ish. Yeah.
This is go on. It's interesting.
And then you had this was also very all subcultures, you could say. So you had like back then. This is, I think, difficult for people now, or at least you would understand. You had like a mainstream cultural thing.
And then everyone who was divergent.
Yes.
They felt an affinity to each other.
Yeah, you were subculture.
Exactly.
I'm with you here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We had the same.
So this was all subculture.
Yeah.
I mean, we were hanging out, and they had the left-wing skinhead thing, or the Antifa skinhead thing, and the punk rock, hardcore, even metal a little bit, and techno house and hip hop.
We all got along. Basically,
sort of, except for
all
you
the
guys,
anarchists,
in a way.
Basically, all the anarchists. Basically,
a lot of
the
alternative thinking, yes.
Yeah.
And then you had like hip hop hardcore hip hop thing, and you had like your swing beat MC Hammer Vanilla Ice thing.
Okay.
At that time, beginning of the 90s,
Okay.
Which was sort of
That went mainstream and pop, didn't it? Sort of.
well, leaned in that direction at least.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
More
true
commercial.
to they were made fun of as well, you know.
That's true. Yeah.
So yeah,
They're still on.
but anyway, we started doing at the Blitz house at that time.
Yeah. And Blitz, just to shoot in, that's the autonomous house,
Yes.
the main one in Oslo.
Mostly associated with hardcore and punk rock.
Yeah.
Or you could say autonomous lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, so we did hip hop things there and did jams and stuff, graffiti, breakdancing, and DJing and rap music.
Yeah.
But all kids, you know, we were 16 and around
exactly.
there.
Yeah.
And extreme.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
We hated everybody else.
Yeah, we had to close ranks
Right.
and oppose everything. So it became a lifestyle to be in opposition.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if it's changed. I mean, I think they seem a lot more chill and relaxed down at Blitz now than before. I was there doing some suspension stuff and that, and I was down there for a meeting to see if we could do any cooperation and that. And they seem quite organised. And I thought I was going to be checked for wires, you know, walking in there, but they were just so relaxed.
Wire. You're trying to tap them.
You just have to turn your phone on to record, and then it's all out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, much more relaxed than I remember. Because there was.
So you were younger back in the days too.
Yeah, I had long flowing locks.
And we talked about that subgenre and how we all got along, which is true, but also not. And especially when it comes to the metal scene, was a bit suspect, and especially in those days. So we didn't invite them in as easily as we did the other people.
No.
Sorry.
Well, there was the.
There were good reasons, though. I gotta say.
Okay, tell me.
Church
tell me.
burning and
And downright Nazism too.
Yeah, the racism.
okay.
I mean, we had to throw out a friend of mine from Gatas up in Bergen and that because he was being racist to a friend of ours who was dark skinned. For no reason whatsoever. And he was drunk, and that was the cool thing to do in certain circles.
Imagine
at that
that.
time. Yeah,
Imagine that.
Ridiculous.
Imagine that being cool.
Yeah. So,
No, that's never been okay in my circles.
It's just a provoke. And so we picked him up and threw him out.
Yeah.
And,
But the thing is also, you had the skinhead scene.
yes, that
And
changed, didn't it?
in Oslo, we had the anti-fascist skinhead scene where they looked completely like the organized Nazis at the time, and they were very strict, like to avoid them, or most of them were very strict. And sometimes there were episodes, right? So that was sort of there was a lot of cleaning, you could say, like holding the Nazis away and keeping them out of our streets, you could say. And then
Where is the main topics of your first album in 2002?
oh, that's like 10 years later. And hip-hop was established back, in 2002.
that time.
Yeah. Okay. Already.
So that's
we have the similar.
it's another world.
In Slovakia.
Right. So hip-hop it wasn't even the first Norwegian tongue album. Klovner in Kamp beat us.
Oh,
Yeah.
Clowns, Clown Kampf. Clowns.
I don't think you should translate it.
No.
But you established basically the Parliament of Streets.
Yes.
With who are you? The same people?
No.
Who, now that it was in the beginning. So
No.
what was the beginning?
So it was me and Aslak.
Yeah.
And and we
There's
worked.
There's
the
other rapper.
Who is my brother?
Okay.
And then we worked with a producer called Dr. Akbar.
Shout out.
Yeah, and then Well, we actually had Don Martin on the way in when we released the first EP in '94. So he is on a verse there, and he produced a beat too.
Okay.
And then he became a full member later on.
Okay.
And then we were working, touring, doing gigs, and then the first album came in 2002, called Holdning of Underholding. But that was a like a major release. We're not underground at that point. We're mainstream.
What was your main message? Like you got few, hit songs or the main songs that carry the message. So what was the message from the beginning?
Well, it was a political group from the start. And also at that time, but I could say when I listened back to that album, it's not as message heavy as some of our earlier and later works. Might have a connection with that mainstream thing, but it's there. It's
always present, isn't it?
It's present. Yes,
expression.
So and we did some heavy stuff too, like the song "Holdning of Underholding," which is basically like Marxist Leninist theory. It goes into very theoretical, but you need to. It's sort of a
thought-provoking, right?
No, well, that song is sort of messages for the ones already in the know, sort of.
Understand the premise for.
Then you'll understand. But a lot of hidden messages all over. I think that's a normal thing with rap music because it's a lot of text.
Yeah.
And you could send different messages to different people. You got one.
It's a great place to throw in some homophones and palindromes and everything.
Yeah, but also lyrically, you got a message to them.
Simon.
All the little puns.
Subconscious messages. All of you.
You play it backwards. Oh, Satan. Oh, son of Satan. You're represented.
Oh, we had some backward messages.
Oh, yes.
Yes. I can't say them loud.
No. We'll have to find out for ourselves.
Because it'll get us taken off the radio.
Do you know what? Spotify and that, they should have a backwards playing function.
Yeah.
Shouldn't they, really? To check out all the...
I use Tidal. And Tidal, which is competition of Spotify, and it got integration with some DJ equipment, so you can
DJ
with you totally like the and then you play Tidal songs, and then it's very easy to play backward stuff, isn't it?
Well, we know what to do then.
It's cool, but expensive.
Yeah.
So it's a problem of those old streaming things.
Exactly.
Sort of destroyed the
money
parts of the music business.
It changed. Yeah. It definitely changed. It's not the same as before, because before everything was either on CD, on vinyl, or any other device, physical device.
Yes.
And now the times changed. Right, internet and everything is online, and the whole business structure changed.
Yes,
and I think this is like natural evolution.
Well, yes, it had to change, so that's right. But the direction it changed, what it changed into, didn't have to be like the way it is. So the same thing happened in many different.
Industries?
Yes. Okay. So you could talk about journalism or films, TV, books, computer games even. And some of these industries have retained a sort of like when it comes to books, for example, like we buy books to give them as presents, right? It's a Christmas present or a birthday present, and that way, it works.
Yeah, you share the literature. And
yes. So when I need to read something that I now, because I'm interested in the content, I download it. Right? I don't buy the book.
Yeah.
But if then I want to share it with you.
Yep.
I go into a bookstore and I buy the hard copy. If it's a big birthday, then I'll see. Okay, I'll get the,
You get
Thing
the
is,
physical product.
But back in the 90s, I did that with records.
Yeah. You could do that.
I don't do that with records anymore. And if I give you a CD, you wouldn't know what to do with it.
It's a running joke. It's a running joke in my family about packages that look suspiciously like CDs.
Right,
I bought only books for the rest of my family this Christmas.
What's the alternative here? Because nobody anymore has any CD play. Like, most people and the music. Naturally, it is mostly the young people interest. I'm not saying older people are not listening to music, blah blah, but still, it's basically for young people.
Gift buying is
and nobody has any other device than their phone.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So
you need to be able to listen to music on your phone.
Yeah.
That's a given, right?
Yeah. So how would you?
No. So the situation leading up to the streaming thing was Napster and Pirate Bay.
Yeah.
So we were sharing music for free.
Yeah.
And then the business said, okay, we have a problem, we need to do something. So they tried to, or they did, sort of ban and punish.
They did. Yeah.
And then, okay, how to compete with free?
Yeah.
Okay, it needs to be more practical. So when in the year 2000, if I wanted to listen to Madonna, I might get some Italo pop. Or something.
Same lit play.
Yes, or something just called. I remember there was like compilations of Norwegian rap, and in that song there was a racist song.
Right.
Well, some racist dude from Drammen.
Yeah.
That made like this racist song. It's completely shit, and it's horrible. And it had nothing to do with hip hop.
No.
But it was in this compilation thing. So you gave that to young people.
So there's no sort of basic guidelines or I don't want to call it control, but just
so it was easy to be more practical than that.
Yeah.
And then you had Last FM. You remember those? There was something called Pandora. There were sort of overgangsformer.
Transition.
And then it went to Wimp, which became Tidal and Spotify. And then they have problems with earning and it was also Apple Music. But that was too expensive, obviously, the way it was. Because you bought a song for 7 or 8 kroners.
That's right.
Which doesn't sound unreasonable, but if you listen to music like I do, then it is.
Then you go bust real quick.
And then they made Spotify, and the problem there is you got one monopoly, and they're not really interested in music. So what they did was they took all the money and then all the money. It's very little to artists, and they're corrupt as F.
Yes.
So if you're on a big label, you get more money per stream, and what they do now is they try to, because of the algorithm there, they try to make you listen to podcasts or books.
Thank you, Spazi.
But what's going on economically? I worked my ass off half a year for a song for 3.5 minutes of music. It's and it's thousands of kroners. And then 3.5 minutes of this podcast is the same money. It's absurd. It's not. It's like it's not art. It's just content. It's the same. So you got your manspread competition, and then it's related to
According to YouTube secrets, that's how we get more listeners.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
So the situation is as it is now. I think it's the worst possible. I think it's hard to imagine a more bad place for the music industry to be in. It's difficult.
With the advent of the AI production of things and that's
and people aren't fighting it.
No,
it's
embracing it.
I think
we're sex bots.
We are, but I'm thinking about AI music now.
I know. Sorry, I'm on track mind. But it's true. They're
listen,
embracing the
people that are.
I would embrace it too. Just saying. Okay, so but that's a market, okay? So now we just established. Okay, so what you described is basically the new market of music. So it went from the Pirate Bay to Spotify.
I think it's time to go back to the Pirate Bay version. That
some of us, some people
you
I
will
know are
land
still
some
on
people
it.
in jail, my friend.
Yes, but it's a hassle, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is a hassle because I mean, so from what I've heard,
it's
just to download the latest things and that.
Okay, but I have a friend. Okay, he has a TV at home, and on that TV he has like a Chromebook thing, a smart TV thing.
Yeah,
he installed a program there called Streamio. Okay, and Streamio is for what I hear, easily installed over every platform, and you can install it to your smart TV. And then when you're on there, you just search for whatever program you want to see, and it comes up on any streaming. It's Apple TV, Disney, Netflix, whatever.
That sounds practical.
Yeah, doesn't it? I don't know. I never tried it, but that's what they tell me. It's very practical.
Yeah.
So I was thinking with my friend, why can't we have that for music?
Yeah.
That does the same thing as Spotify, you know?
And like, okay, so within the market, it's always, the idea is like, there is a newcomer that's the first business in that market, and later on, more businesses, more competitors come into the market, and then the market share spreads to all of these companies who compete in the market. So Spotify has competitors, and that's Amazon Music, Apple Music, Tidal.
Look at the numbers.
I understand it, but it means like it means based on the numbers, and we can have arguments like about it, but the numbers are saying like, oh, Spotify is doing something right. Like Spotify probably understands the user like preferences. That's why most people pay for Spotify, not for Apple Music, because the monetization aspect of it for the listener is much better than paying for each individual song.
Yes, but that's not the alternative.
On the other side, for an artist who is making the music, the actual product, it's much better for you if the monetization was more of Apple Music type,
or Bandcamp,
because you get much more money for people listening to your music. So, and you can see this in basically all the economical relations, because you got the Spotify acts like a middleman, right? And if you don't have the leverage on the middleman, he will give you the best possible deal for him, not for you.
Yeah.
So
we're being shafted.
So we have to figure it out how to create or find leverage on Spotify. Like, hey, guys, like, we want our fair share. You understand me?
Yeah. But there are a lot of themes there. It's cultural acceptance, and it's political, economical. You could just, if you wanted to, you could like create a law.
Yes.
It was actually suggested in the days of Pirate Bay.
Yeah.
That we should have like a compensation thing for downloaded music, just like when happened with copy printers.
Yeah.
They made like a law that gave some compensation, and schools and public, institutions could copy a certain amount, and then the authors or the right havers could have some compensation. What we could do back then, which would be
just quick question, like who would provide the compensation? Like the government?
Yes.
On behalf of the schools. Okay, got you. So
this is established 40 years ago, 50. or when the
By
copy
the way,
printers.
this would never work in my country because there is different level of the. Okay, all the national. We just focus on Europe, right? We have these national states, right? And there is different level of democracy.
Okay,
not as organized.
Yes, and there is different levels of, the ideology your state or your politician push forward. So Norwegian is pretty much leaning to left, to socialistic, right? And for example, Slovakia, it's. It's
you look like the Home Alone kid there for a moment.
I
Gangsterism.
So it's pretty much on one hand it's mafia state, on the other hand it's like people not really understanding like how to step up for themselves. So they want to be they want to do everything like that Europe Union wants them to do. So you got me, and the level of judiciary and the trust towards public institution is basically non-existent. So just to put it into perspective, like this is pretty much unique situation also for Norway. Because
but the thing is, none of this cultural politics is not universal, never is. It's always local and national, and it's on state level. So we have in Norway, we have inköpsordningen.
Yeah.
You translate
Purchasing,
that. Right.
Yeah.
You know why that was established?
Why?
It's interesting. It happened in the 60s.
Yeah.
And what happened was that poetry was on its way down. People weren't buying poetry anymore. And they had this discussion.
Yeah.
It sounds insane, I know. In the government of Norway, in regjeringen, should we, as a cultured nation, have poetry in our country?
Yeah.
And they had a discussion about it, and they ended up on yes, we should. And so they put some money into it, and they made inköpsordningen, which is it's run by the authors organizations, and it decides on what books should be bought by public libraries, right? So, and then they pick out typically poetry, which is not much read. I mean, it's
not really.
It's very
Greeting
little.
cards is the only gig I get these days.
Poetry is sold is 200 books, That's it.
Yeah.
But they're bought by the libraries, and then you can make them.
Yeah.
And keep on publishing them. And you could be almost professional for that money.
Yeah.
And so we keep ourselves with poetry, and then it was expanded into common literature, like novels, and that in that way we have an army of writers. And so it's an
investment in cultural.
Yes, and we had that since the 60s.
Yeah.
And there is a similar thing for music, but it's very, very, very small.
Right.
Yeah. So it's nothing that you could.
Music is much more internationalized, I suppose. In when it comes to language, you have the language that is unique for that local market as well.
I don't.
So the Norwegian language. Do you think that has an effect?
If you have the discussion, should we have, let's say, folkemusikk in Norway?
Yeah.
Politically,
Yeah.
Should we or should we not? If that's it, the market can't take care of it. Should we have it or not?
Yeah.
I would say yes. Well, I think we should.
Yeah.
If we don't, we'll lose something.
Yeah.
Important, then we can't recreate a non-existing scene.
Once it's gone, it's gone. Yeah.
So I would say yes.
Yeah.
And in the expansion of that, I would say, okay, if there are genres that we think we need, then we could do that.
Yeah.
And I would say, if people are, let's say Bergen.
Yeah.
They did a thing with tickets for youth. So you are given an amount of tickets to see music or art, theater, stuff like that, and you can see what you want, but this is some amount of money to ticket prices is paid by the state, and then you could make this go around. It'll be good for the kids because you get the
interest.
and for the artists. Right,
yes.
The artist you could make like kids music, for example, which is not dependent on alcohol to go around.
That's true,
Because if you make rock music, then
method.
you basically you are paid in alcohol money.
Yep. I've been paid in alcohol quite a lot. So
Yeah, but the audience pays.
That's what they buy.
So you argue for like
One example.
states subsidizing the
But clever subsidizes.
Yes, okay, like I have no with what you're saying. I have no problem with it. Like yes, and I think this is true for the culture as in even like globally or in each state. I would be very happy if the state was subsidizing, like developing artists. People who want to do it, they don't necessarily have the means from the beginning, right? And that's their like they can start off of it and then just they should go for the market, because in the end the market what's the market? Market is me and you and all other people around. Like, what do we want? What do we like? And so on and so on. Who really like?
The market is run by the billionaire club, though.
But it's a different thing, though, because the market is a million different things.
Yeah.
So you could say you have an honest market when it comes to who is the best rapper, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not run by the billionaires. Not directly, anyways.
This is cool about hip-hop music. Because hip-hop music or these artists were always the underdogs. We find the ways how to make the music, like lots of music, cheap music, right?
Yep.
And we've been like the rap music. It started off like cultural / political issues, right? Is it generally? Yes and no, right?
Yes and no,
Yeah, because it's a subculture. You are in opposition.
Yes,
But
we're
it has,
the rebels.
It has
We're the new punk.
It has various
Right?
expressions. So I'm thinking, the gangster stuff that was began with Public Enemy, with the really the driving force was the emancipation and growing awareness of one's situation and the historical context behind it.
Yes.
And that is vital to have,
So,
even though it's become more like a gross materialist expression in
But it
certain
always
aspects.
was too.
Okay, guys.
That's been
kind of
present
bling.
from the absolute beginning. But the thing is, it was poor people doing it.
Yeah.
So there's something there, but I'm afraid of these simple stories. I recognize what you say. I don't oppose it.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of a oversimplification.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to, because you're on the abstraction level, like really top abstraction level, right? Because you're talking about like the whole hip hop,
Meta hip hop.
Yeah, meta hip hop idea, and then like this is something that interests me. The U.S. is very specific culture because it's like 350 million or
a lot of people.
It's basically a lot of people and united by language. So everybody understands each other and there's the global that there is the whole American discussion, competition and so on. And what interests me about Europe, we really resonated from 80s, 90s with the hip hop attitude, and now we are in this like language divided sphere, and we have also like US is very young country. We have like thousands of years of tradition,
conflict
and conflict and all of it. So and now here we are. So this is something interesting to me, like what the commonalities and differences. For example, Norwegian hip hop, and if I apply it to Czechoslovakian scene. and it's interesting to see the similarities.
Yeah.
And how we actually, because we got inspired by the same thing.
Yeah.
And now the question is like, okay, what did you take from that meta idea of hip hop? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so that's probably a different thing back in the days and now.
What now? Yeah, tell me now.
Well, I am still call myself a hip hopper.
Yep.
Based on the fact that I've been living it for so long. But if I'm completely honest, I guess the package of hip hop as such is not that important to me anymore. I think of myself artistically more of like I rap, that's my technique.
Yeah. That's a tool.
Yeah, and I create music and write lyrics, and I steal from, or I get inspired by what's in you know, the Norwegian stuff.
Yeah, the local.
Yeah, and international stuff.
Okay.
But
it is for Norwegians, basically.
yes,
Because you
true
are
that, true.
talking,
Yes, absolutely.
How
Absolutely.
has rapping in Norwegian affected your international career?
Yeah. That's. The thing is, I thought.
Would you say you are a reflection in a certain way of Norwegian culture
Values.
or subculture?
Yeah.
Values, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, of course, yes.
Yeah.
But Norwegian left wing
Okay.
values, yes.
Yeah.
No, and that, yes, of course, yes. Absolutely. I think I thought of it as like hip hop is one thing, it's one genre.
Yeah. And then you figure it.
And then, yeah, but
It's still people.
yeah, but the thing is, it's not. The way I see it now, we got our US hip hop, which imagines itself to be universal.
And it is not unified also.
No. Yes, of course, yes.
Yeah.
But then we were also very inspired by the British hip hop,
Yep.
Gunshot,
Shout out
Silver Bullet.
Israel.
Bullet, yeah. I remember
That's
that.
long before you could roll.
Yeah,
They
I
had
understand,
at the time they had
It's
something called Britcore, which was like Hijack, Silver Bullet.
There was a lot of evolution in the UK sound as whole. So
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
With the trap stuff and everything going on now, it's grime.
grime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you see things heading, though? Do you think it's going to be things are going to meld into each other, or will there always be new avenues? What do you get inspired by? You listen to now? I mean, I've been totally mind fucked by Ren, and he's from Brighton. Ren, that's more mental disorder hip hop. Okay, but it's more recitation. It's more almost it's pure poetry as well. The visual aspects to it are very striking.
There was actually a group called Mental Disorder, you see. Well, I think that's like German.
Yeah.
It wasn't very good.
No. Well, they couldn't concentrate on what they were doing.
Probably. Yeah.
But where do you see things going?
Well, I think that there's different developments culturally. I was talking a little bit earlier about poetry and the death of poetry, right?
Yeah.
So what happened at that time? You had modernism, which in Norway is very much connected to Jan Erik Vold.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a way with rhythm and a way with rhyme. So they did that.
Playfulness with the language as well.
And then sort of the rhyming, the skill of rhyming sort of went away a little bit. You have viser, which is similar to, I guess, folk music in America, but viser. And then the Norwegian rock scene, which all used Norwegian language, but they weren't really focused on rhyming. Øystein Sunde, I guess, a little bit. So there was somebody. And then came rap music, and now rap music is like the place to go if you want to rhyme.
Yeah.
There are no other places to do that.
Well, yeah, you got your like sort of the spoken word stuff, but it's very interconnected.
Yes. So the rhyming things are very inspired directly from rap.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, it's not rap music, but it's rap.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you can do that. Of course, I consider that sort of close sibling,
Yes.
close sibling of hip hop.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that the rhyming and that thing is a very natural, logical things for people to do. It's almost like proto music.
Yeah.
Is you start out with you can watch kids like do play with words and then into rhyming,
It's
and
a natural rhythm.
Yes.
If you're right.
And then so this similar things to rap will develop if it's not present as it wasn't sort of. It develops. It needs its because it's like
With syntax, slang, and everything. Every language is developing as well.
Yeah.
So then you will have new avenues to explore.
Yeah, but having a culture saying that rhymes isn't important is like we don't really care about food.
Yeah.
So you can say that, but sooner or later, somebody would like, oh, this tastes good.
McDonald's takes over the world. Then you might try a snail.
Right. That, right.
Snail burger.
So I think that will be present, and since now rap has a monopoly on rhyming almost. It's not a complete, but and it's been that way for 20 years, I think. So I imagine that it will continue.
Yeah.
But as that happens, hip hop is not the important thing anymore necessarily, because you will have business leaders doing their yearly dinner, and they will rap.
In a way, it's not important even now, because what the basic idea of hip hop, if you like, what was the goal of it was like Black Lives Matter, right? Like their rights and the suppression by the administration people and so on and so on. So it was a rebellion towards they were speaking about specific social issues, and it served the purpose. And I think we Europeans were inspired by it, and like, oh, we can actually live on our own terms, and that's the basic idea of it. And it's not necessarily like the hip hop was a tool, but this is natural human instinct like for freedom, right?
I hate to cut in, but the time and it's you have to sort of leave because you've got a job to go to.
I've got a job.
People,
yes.
But, so I just want to give a quick shout out to the guy who got us together, Kim Holm.
Kim Holm. Kim Diaz Holm. Yes.
Yeah. So cheers, Kim.
Den unge her.
Yeah. And we've barely scraped the scrofulatic surface of all the stuff
we were into culture politics.
Yeah,
I wasn't in.
How did that happen?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember that. But we've skirted many topics, and it's been incredibly interesting. We could go on and on for at least a couple more hours, but time is against us.
Yes.
And as every ADHD person knows, time is relative, but we're not related.
Yes,
And
that's
so
absolutely.
we have to depart right now. And thank you so much for coming.
And you.
And perhaps we can repeat the experience and continue down the list. We've got about a third of the way through. At some later date.
I didn't know we touched in on the list at all, but maybe.
The shopping list as long as my arm. But the tentacles of discussion and topics of conversation will continue beyond the sphere of this studio as well, I'm sure, between us. So thank you very much, and thank you to everyone listening. Cheers, Sebastian.
Cheers.
Thank you, Joe. And thank you very much, Elling. And the best of luck. And by the way, if you need a guest rapper or something that that destroys the Norwegian language with his half anglicised voice.
Yeah, that's
then,
you.
You just talk to our secretaries. Would
Right.
Okay, so thank you, sir.
And you. And if I might say so, we're finished,
Yeah.
right? So I want to recommend a Sami rapper, which is just what you said now. It's called Amok. Amok.
Right.
And he's from Inari in Finland, which is sort of a separate dialect of Sami.
Yeah.
So I was traveling there to a Sami festival in Inari from Alta by car with Slink Race, Nils Utsi, which is like the biggest like Norwegian rapper, Sami rapper in Norway. Yeah. And we traveled there. They can't understand each other. The dialects are so different. Yeah, no. Anyway, so they were speaking like partly Norwegian and partly English or Swedish, sort of, because he's Finnish and they speak Finnish. Thing. But when he raps, okay, so in Hari Sami is like 600 people or so speak it. So they're lucky to have this genius amongst them.
They are.
And he raps, it sounds like he's a vocalist in a black metal band. It's like this. And he's lived like a really hard life, which you could hear, sort of.
Yeah, you hear it in his voice,
Yeah, so that's like, it felt like the perfect combination of all these beautiful things.
Saving the culture. He's a champion for.
At the same time, offering it to Satan, I guess.
We need all
it's
the
beautiful.
help you can get from anybody these
definitively,
days. Yeah.
Don't send this up north.
No. It's more like below the surface.
But you got some pretty hefty Sami Christians, which are.
Of course.
So there's that. Yeah.
I've never been further north than bloody Trondheim, and apparently that's
not north at all.
Right, that's what everyone says. Yeah. So, but one of these days I will venture beyond the polar circle.
Do it.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah.
But also know that there are different places to visit up there as well.
Yeah.
So if you want to visit like the Sami, then you have to go to Kautokeino or Karasjok or Tana, I guess.
Yeah.
But inland.
Right. Because you have the schist Sami, right? The coastal, there's many different.
But that's recognizable for Norwegians, you see. And you're from Bergen, which is like a coastal city.
Yeah.
And you got a recognizable thing with the coastal cities up north, because the coastal, it's a culture,
specific culture.
And it's present, also a part of the Sami.
You have more links 100 miles down the coast than you do 10 miles inland very often because of the.
You don't need to go 10 miles. I guess you're talking about, it depends what kind of miles you're.
No, I'm talking
You're
about,
English, so.
Meters of urge, but you don't have to go very far
no.
until they speak a totally different dialect.
Yes, completely.
There's a fascinating topography in Norway.
And then there's Svalbard, which is the craziest place of all.
Have you been there?
Yes, sir. It's
barren.
It's crazy. No, I read The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert Heinlein.
Yes.
Have you read that one?
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of.
Really? Damn. With polar bears.
With polar bears. But they go into gender things in that. You remember that from Heinlein book? Because there's so few women.
Years since I read it, but
there's so few women.
Yeah.
So in that book, it starts with one guy traveling from Earth up to the north, and then he flirts with a woman, and then she's in on it, and then all of a sudden she rejects him.
I remember,
And he grabs her arm.
Yeah.
And what happens when he grabs her arm is he is attacked immediately by 10 other people trying to push him out of the airlock. Right.
Yes.
because there are so few women at the moon that the respect for women's bodily autonomy is much higher than on Earth.
Yeah.
Right. And he comes from a patriarchal, Earth system. So he's carefully explained this thing. And then he sort of gets it, and he gets with the program.
That's right.
So the thing is, I experienced similar things in Svalbard. Yeah. So it's like we're sitting at a pub, and there's this lady. I mean, she's like 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
And might I add, I'm a rap star.
Yeah.
And I turn to her and I ask for a light, and she goes like that. What the fuck happened there?
Yeah, entitlement.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What did I do?
Yeah.
And I talk to the guy next to me, and he has that same conversation with me. He says, "Okay, but listen, there are only 10% women here."
Yeah, exactly. So that they are the.
She knows what you want.
Yeah. So
He said that. I want a light.
can have
No, you
anybody.
didn't. Well, okay. I was drunk, so
it's like being a guest at an Amazon village of Amazons and that, and you're the only dude there.
And the nature is hostile as F.
Yeah.
You can't walk outside, basically,
Right.
without a rifle and
Yeah.
layers of wool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the clothes thing. That's probably why I haven't gone north. It's just too much.
Yeah, there's also like a space.
Yeah.
I'm walking by the school. You got the children's school there with 20 pupils. I walk past it, and behind the school, there's a guy, smugrøyker,
Yeah, he's smoking behind the...
right? Wearing a gun and a balaclava. And he's like in 6th grade.
Yeah. Oh, damn. They've got to defend themselves. And they're women. Women that are there. They've got to defend them.
It's, that's about the polar bears.
Yeah.
That's the guns is about the polar bears. And because they'll come into town and they'll eat you.
Yeah.
And they do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, they're scary. They're huge predators as well.
Yeah, but they're like every 5 years or so they eat somebody.
Yeah.
And it's only 1,800 people there, so
So
you know the
notice.
guy.
Yeah. Happens to them personally.
Yeah.
It's coming up to 1 o'clock, just about the time. And so, but thank you so much, Elling.
Luckily, it's mostly tourists being eaten.
The German tourists.
Yeah, well, they ate a TV team from the Netherlands.
They didn't know.
That's true. They insisted on not using guns.
The funny thing, the Czech people come to our mountains,
Right.
and they go with these sandals.
Right.
And like they freeze.
Yeah.
The number of Czech tourists that died in high Tatras in Slovakia. It's like
Yeah, but it was a TV team from the Netherlands. This is a true story. People don't know this. It's not public. Sort of. So the guy, it was a TV team, so they were filming the whole thing.
Yeah.
And this guy from the Netherlands TV station was attacked by the polar bear.
Yeah.
They are giants. They weigh like 10 times a grown man, a strong grown man.
Yeah.
So 10 times. It's
Yeah.
like, forget about it.
Yeah.
Like
No chance. Tarzan.
Don't even think.
Yeah.
It's like you're a toddler.
Yeah.
And you're fighting an adult man.
Yeah.
That's like worse, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so this bear, drags him under the water, swims under the water, 100 meters up, goes up on the ice, and he eats the guy, and they film the whole thing. And then they offer this to NRK. Do you know NRK? They won't.
I don't want
Norwegian
for tourism.
television, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably not good for tourism.
No. Tourism.
Perhaps, maybe, except metal.
The death metal stuff.
Yeah, that might be.
Ice metal, desert.
And is it this only animal that hunts people, like the polar bear?
No,
I heard it.
Tigers and stuff.
Also tigers that hunt like
the world
specifically.
the world record for man-eaters is for a tigress.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
436.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't know. I think that when it comes to the polar bears, it's like they are hunters. They hunt seals, but when they're 2 years old, they're on their own. They're left by the mother. Okay. They're grown-ups.
Yeah.
So the young polar bears that are exactly 2 years old, are on their own, and that goes around in April, March.
Yeah.
So at that time,
It's the most dangerous.
that's very
because
dangerous. They don't know about guns yet.
Oh yeah. So they just.
And it's illegal to shoot them.
It's illegal.
It's illegal unless in self-defense.
Oh okay.
Yeah, for the hunting, there's no hunting permits.
Yeah. And
There are stories there which is crazy. You got this family of 4, 2 grown-ups, 2 kids, and they're in a cabin, and in comes this polar bear, and his head is like this.
Yeah.
And he crashes through the window in this small room.
Yeah.
So they're standing there with the gun, but you can't like point the gun because the room is so small.
Okay.
So you get the gun out beside his face and you can shoot a little bit. But you know, this guy is so big that if you shoot him in the face, it's not.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Nothing.
Part of the brain maybe lobotomize him if you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
If you get it inside his mouth.
Yeah.
They're enormous.
Yeah, they're huge. I've seen a few things on YouTube where there's this guy who's running around a car from a polar bear. They were like around this car, and I was and I couldn't watch anymore.
There are people working with it. So there's I remember were you around at the Underskog times?
It rings a bell.
So there was this guy in that days that was like before Facebook, who was very active there, and he worked in with polar bears on a sort of polar bear vad heter det, observation site.
Oh yeah.
And he lived there. He was of course working with all kinds of guns and sticks and
He knew.
Yeah. But
You need grenade launcher, you know, like.
but he sort of knew the polar bears knew him,
Yeah.
but of course it's dangerous.
Yeah.
But he was walking around. He had films of himself there, and he was like, "Okay, this is today."
Yeah.
So it was very real time.
Yeah.
And he was poking like with a rake or something. He was like pushing, and then to walk to
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Very scary.
Yeah, poking the bear.
yeah, literally. Yeah.
Oh my God.
The polar bear.
Yeah.
That's the.